what older brother Itachi could have taught me, but I learned on my own. And if anyone wants to shun me for saying stop comparing real life to anime, the reason why that is because I learned something that he didn't teach me that really could have helped me when I was in high school, when I was growing up, that there is a way you can live life through anime. Because the difference between anime and a regular cartoon is a cartoon is usually episodic, random, you know who the characters are, but the plot doesn't change, the goal doesn't change. Unlike anime, when there are entire arcs with different storylines in between that literally give you the perspective of a real life. There is a way you can live through anime. You can't fucking throw beam blast. You can't do super big ninja moves and shit. But what you can do is you can work out, you can train hard, and you can become your own version of Naruto Uzumaki. You can't say believe it unless you actually legitimately give yourself a chance to win. The same nerd that was getting picked on in school, the way he can be believe it is that same believe it is actually putting in the work, doing all the push-ups to literally beat the fuck out of the gang member that used to punk him. You can live through anime. You can't defy the laws of nature, but what you can do is you can be inspired by anime and you can live it through a realistic way. Like me, I have done anime like workouts, but I don't think anime is real. And the whole point of why I'm making this video is there's a reference through a King and Kel episode where Itachi could have told me there is a way that you can live your anime, but you have to make sure it's within reality. And what he was telling me was shut the fuck up, this and that, just literally be a good person and not fight back. The King and Kel episode happened when, I don't know which one was it, but one of the brothers got his head stuck in between bars and a fence. And the same thing happened to me in real life where I put my head in between bars of the steps. And he could have been like, yo, you want to watch this episode? This is you, Eris. There is ways that you can live throughout the shit. And there was this old joke that somebody told me that I'm all like, how is this so realistic? I thought that only happens in cartoons. He's like, where do you think they get them from? Real life. That is why I put a lot of things in my real life on YouTube. And a lot of things Western media is lacking nowadays. Instead of trying to be super fucking creative, why don't you actually tell a story about what happened? Like, a real fucking story. A good way to live through anime is literally be as smart as you can be, but understand what the outcome is going to be. So literally, do not let that fool you. You can't just say, ooh, I have the nine-tailed fox inside me. I'm going to be angry and swing randomly. When everybody's keeping their calm, cool, collect, and learning how to box, and you're sitting over here thinking that they're not going to fight back, that they're not going to use logic, that they're not going to do this and that, that because you're spoiled your entire life and because your parents so literally tell you right from wrong and let you live a life where you don't know right from wrong is the reason why you don't know how to switch left or right in a fight. The same thing. You can't just say, oh, the girl is going to like me for who I am because this is a good story. The good guy wins, the bad guy loses. No, not at all. But what you can do is you can expose the bad guy for being a fucking weakling by doing everything the bad guy can do and more, or do something better. And letting the bad guy know that the bad guy ain't shit. The real reason why we have this misconception, why nerds have this misconception of why good people are treated bad is because of the way we live in society. Superman gets shunned. This is a fictional character, but this is the same way society works. Superman gets shunned because he killed a whole bunch of people, but he saved 3 times as many people that he killed in the process of defeating a villain. The villain killed way more people. Oh, but what? How are we gonna beat the villain up? The villain's already dead, Arturo. But I lost a cousin because of you. I'm like, yeah, but if it wasn't for me, you wouldn't even have a planet. The complexity behind the situation people do not want to get into, but who else is gonna save your life? What you have to do is you have to be in Superman's position and you have to say, oh, if you're going to give me attitude, then find someone else to save your life. Instead of letting people abuse you, letting people take advantage of you, you are one of a kind. So do not take yourself for granted. Do not let people use you. Do not let people do this and that. Do not think that being a good person doesn't get you targeted. And if it does, do everything in your power to be nice, but prepare to be backed against the corner sometimes in life and literally have to think of your way out. You literally have to understand that we are not in a society that looks at the fact that we saved a life. We live in a society that looks like this. It's like, oh, you beat someone in a championship. You still have no friends. Oh, you surpassed yourself in your personal goal. You still don't have a girlfriend. Now, how does this tie into anime? Is because when I got that level of popularity, what I did was this. I saw things through the exact same perspective of the bad guys. It's like, oh, that shit is lame. Don't do that. That actually is corny and stuff like that. I'm going to tell you why it's corny and why it's not. Because people used to say I jump to conclusions. Now that I've been there, done that, I'm not jumping to conclusions. I'm trying to let you know sometimes you need to tell them straight up. Now I know what the difference is. If I tell someone the right thing, and I keep on telling someone the right thing over and over again, I'm going to eventually come out and say, you're a fucking pussy. And everybody's like, why should I listen to you, Ernst? You don't have a car. Yeah, but I still have a face intact, and the person you're trying to flex on has a car, but he has a face full of plastic surgery. You think that anime is so fucking intense? You think anime is so fucking bloody? I've seen real fights that look 10 times worse than anime. People are like, aha, Dragon Ball Z is real. Yeah, because reality is 10 times worse. I didn't even know plastic surgery existed, so when people say, oh, you can't do the anime shit in real life because you end up hurting people and stuff like that, you gotta control your autism, oh, this and that, I'm like, okay. Then how come plastic surgery is more hardcore than anything you've ever seen in Dragon Ball Z? And there are people casually doing it. There are married couples going through plastic surgery. That ain't shit. What you envision is fucking paid. That's why a gangster laughs at you when you try to say, oh, I'm just gonna be a good person and let everything work out, because literally there's competition on top of competition on top of competition, and real life is worse than anime, because the same people who go to that plastic surgery are the same people who stood up to the fucking gangster. And when he was a nice person, he had good grades at school, he had this and that. But why would God put me in that position? Because of the fact that you are selling yourself short. You're the one actually doing wrong. He's the one who's more multidimensional. Even though it's wrong, Darwin said this, it is better to do wrong than to do nothing at all. There's a way you can live through anime, because real life is 10 times more tragic, 10 times more this and that. Anime is literally, what makes it a cartoon is that it gives you the hope that you can just treat people the way you want to be treated and no one's gonna fuck with you. Everybody's gonna fuck with you until you prove your dominance. Now, it's either you prove your dominance physically or you prove your dominance mentally. You have to prove your dominance mentally, but sometimes if someone backs you against the corner, are you gonna wait for people in uniform to save you, or are you going to give yourself the most realistic way to win when you're backed in the corner? Are you going to fight back? Or are you going to rely on people who aren't even here right now to save you? Now, I straight up want to tell people you can live through anime, because I do anime workouts, but you cannot live through the philosophy of anime thinking that you have plot armor when the world isn't made for you. The reason why you're having this misconception is because you look at media that's literally made to help people with morals, to help people understand the situation. And if you look close in the anime, once you become older, it shows you why that there's a reason for everything that's happening. Anime is full with tons of symbolism with this and that, but the best thing that is great about you in anime is that you can make it. You can prove those people wrong, but you can't do it by staying in your own head. You have to think of a realistic way to do it. Stop pretending to do Kamehameha and actually block your face. If you know you are not strong enough, you have to train, and you can't wish on a shooting star. You have to put in the work in order to deal with your problems with those bullies or your problems in life. You literally have to look at it at perspective. I'm like, I'm not going to play a game if you're not going to give me no tools. He's like, you can do it, Ernst. You can do it. I'm like, nope. That only happens in movies. 300, they had help. Oh, but I saw that one guy do it with no tools, that one guy doesn't have a leg anymore. Oh, I'll do it as soon as there's something in it for me so I don't come out empty-handed. You can be mighty. You can live to the philosophy, but that's only after you've established that you know what reality is. It's only after you establish your environment that this is what's real. You can't tell me right from wrong because I've already experienced it. I'm not gonna act like a girl is gonna take the nerd with no sex appeal, no wardrobe, over somebody who's literally competing, literally just by saying believe it. It would have made my high school life a lot better because instead of me relying on a fantasy, I'm actually doing shit to put myself in a realistic setting where I can get results instead of having everything stay in my head.